It's been 10 years now since I've been called an idiot by one of my mentors, a man I deeply respected and admired, and still do. And I don't know if you've ever been called an idiot by somebody you really trust, respect, and admire, but if you haven't, I'm not sure you've truly lived until you've been called that by somebody like that. I didn't like it at the time. Actually, that's a lie. I absolutely hated it, and I was incredibly angry. The backstory, though, is before I came to him that day, I had just failed in business the last 9 months, and it was a horrific failure where I lost everything. And I was living for months at a time blaming and complaining about and making excuses about my failure. It was everybody's fault but mine. My employees, it was my customers, it was the city I lived in, it was the regulations and taxation of the government. It was everybody's fault. And I guarantee if you were around me at that time, I probably blamed you too, which if I did, forgive me, I'm sorry. I was in a zombie state, no excuses, it's what I was and where I was at, and I was blaming everybody. You know, when I sat down with my mentor to kind of figure out why I crashed and burned, once I worked up the courage to go sit with him, he called me an idiot. That was what he did. That was his first words out of his mouth after he looked at all my financials. And he called me an idiot not because I failed at business, not because I made mistakes. He called me an idiot because I was blaming everybody. And I was trapped. Because when we make excuses and we blame people for our own failures, even though they might have been accomplices to it, they might have done some things, and I had employees, one group of employees stole $20,000 from us in a business. But actually, that wasn't what caused the business to fail. You're looking at the one who caused it to fail. I was. But I wouldn't own up to it. I wouldn't accept that responsibility. So therefore, I was going to stay broke the rest of my life. Until that man said, Ed, you're an idiot. I was trapped. Those words jarred me out of that zombie state. I didn't like it. It didn't feel good. It took me a couple of days to detox and to think about that process and then come back and start the rebuilding. I could have never got to the rebuilding, though, until I exposed my heart to the medicine. And exposing our hearts are great medicine. And exposing your heart is this: being transparent and admitting it. Accepting responsibility. Every failure you and I have ever had, there's one reason. I'm the reason, and you're the reason for yours. We cannot blame or make excuses, because the minute we do, we give control of our lives over to somebody else, and we become trapped. We become slaves. We cannot move on. We cannot grow. We cannot get better. We're going to fall into the same pit over and over and over. Now, you might be saying the same thing I did years ago. I don't make many excuses, and I don't blame people. And I would have said that. Here's what I want you to do to see if you're doing it. I have 3 ways that you can figure it out. None of them are going to be fun. Trust me. 1, if you're married, ask your spouse. Tell them, look, I just want you to be honest. I'm not going to hold it against you. But do I make a lot of excuses? Do I complain and blame? Hopefully they're going to give you the right answer. Another one to ask is your boss or mentor. They tend to be brutally honest. Ask them. And thirdly, I dare you to do this one, and this one's really dangerous, record yourself. But do it for a couple of days. You'll be shocked at what comes out of this. You might be surprised at how much you actually blame others and make excuses for your own failures. If the greatest cure for this is to find some good mentors. Good mentors. That means not family, not friends. They don't make good mentors. They make good friends. But a good mentor is this: somebody who cares more about your future than your feelings. That mentor I sat with 10 years ago, he definitely cared more about my future than my feelings. He said, Ed, you're an idiot. He didn't care about my feelings. He wanted to help me. Friends were patting me on the back and saying, Ed, it was okay, you tried. Most people fail at that kind of business. You'll get it again. That didn't help me. It felt good. So a good mentor or two in your life is great medicine, because they won't accept excuses. They won't accept blaming. They're going to force you and I to accept responsibility. Our problem, your problem, my problem, it's a whole lot closer than we think. It's not outside. It's inside. Look in the mirror. That's our problem. Let's accept it, take the medicine, find some mentors, and move on. Because you can either make excuses or make money. You can't do both. My name is Ed Carcarey. I'd love to connect with you at edcarcarey.com. Find your passion. You'll find your life.